welcome. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Galen. I am the Director of Applied Science at Felix Instruments, and I'm very excited to be joined today with a very special guest. His name is Dr. Ioannis Minas, and he is a professor of pomology at Colorado State University. I'll let him introduce himself and give a little more background on his research and what he does and where his interests lie, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you are utilizing our instruments.
Yeah, thanks for having me this morning, Galen. My name is Ioannis Minas. I'm originally from Greece, but I joined CSU since 2015. My background comes from pomology, post-harvest biology, but here in Colorado State University, I work in many aspects on tree fruit production, and we are focusing on peach production, which is the major tree fruit crop in Colorado. We are working on rootstocks, training systems, cold hardiness, and because of my background, I'm interested a lot of fruit quality, and this is where I get to use your technology in order first to understand how we can improve fruit quality in the orchard. That's one of the major aspects of my programs as well, but also how we can put technology into the hands of the growers. And peach growers are like many other growers, are low tech or no tech industry. So we have been exploring how we can use technology in order to give them the information they need for making the best decisions for their crops.
Yeah, so you right away bring up the most interesting point with all this technology with the F750 and 751 sensors that we have for fruit quality. You know, there's always seemed to be a lot of interest on the post-harvest side of the supply chain, where typically they already have labs, QA labs, where they're doing destructive testing, and that's, just a normal part of everyday life for them. But with farmers, especially on the smaller side of operations, they have just always relied on traditional means and tribal knowledge to assess their maturity of their fruit and when they should be harvesting. So what do you see as the path forward to kind of getting this technology into the hands of the farmers?
I agree, and that's the main thing. There is a different, like two different worlds. The world that is focusing on pre-harvest and farming and harvesting the fruit, and the world that is managing post-harvest. This is more distinct in Europe, where I'm coming from, and I know this system very well. Here in the US, you find many of the growers are doing their own packing, so you can find like a vertical situation that the farmer is also the packer, shipper, the post-harvest person too. So in the first part, I agree with you. It's very hard for the farmers to move out of their tradition. They have been, most of the cases, they are like 3, 4, 5 generations in the same farm. So they know what they're doing, and they rely on their senses most of the time. Like, we think we should be picking 2 days from now or whatever. We think that we have been doing everything right. And most of the times this is not coming with any data. And actually, I am coming from a family like that. Like, my family is peach farmers in Greece. So I grew up in an orchard, and I understand that very well. And how difficult it is to adapt a change into the practice that you have been making money for so many years. What I have realized also is that by doing so, you are not realizing what is the waste, what is the cost that you are paying on making decisions, in my view, based on no data.
Yep.
And this is where I started working with non-destructive sensors and F750 back in 2016 in order to see, okay, can we get data from a non-destructive concept and how good these data are, how the growers can use them. So I see that the post-harvest people, that the people that are interested more in the packing house and stuff, they are much more easier adapters, but still over there, you need to have information that they are practical for them in order to make it, to get them working with the sensor. And the farmers, at the same time, are more reluctant on moving into that direction. But still, what we have been experiencing over the last couple of years is like even farmers will adopt a technology if they get the information they are interested for.
Okay.
So we as researchers are focusing on some direction. They are focusing on some information that they can be more easy to interpret and support your decision-making process. So this is where we are now. We're trying to figure out, okay, do we have reliable data? How this data can be transformed for the grower to support their decision-making.
Yeah. I don't know if this is proprietary information or anything, but just wondering if you could shed some light on what is traditionally done to assess the maturity in the field versus what you are assessing as far as internal quality or external color, whatever you're doing with the 750, and how they kind of correlate to each other, and how you're going to be able to show the farmer that, hey, you're traditionally, looking at the color of the peach, but actually what I'm doing with this is measuring directly, quantifying chlorophyll, and that's actually, a better indicator of maturity. So anything like that you have insights that you feel like you can divulge.
Yeah. Traditionally, the grower will visit the farm. They will have a chart of the sequence of the ripening of the cultivar, and every season they will go visit the orchard. They will walk in and they will try to fill some fruit. Some growers, they will say, if I touch 10 fruit that they are soft, I'm going and picking. Other people will focus on background color assessment visually. Really, they're not doing any either destructive assessment. It's very hard to find people that they're really doing any systematic assessment prior harvest. They are mostly based on the background color change of the fruit, and that is very hard on the fully red color cultivars, which are majority right now, either in the US, also in Europe. And that's what has been the case. Now, we have changes in the environment, in the environmental conditions. We have storms, unpredictable conditions. And you may see complicated and newer varieties that are coming that we don't have many data on, how they are ripening across many different locations. So that's another problem that they have, especially when they are having limited labor and they have to make a plan on where to locate their labor and what sequence they need to follow. That they might fall short in one block, that they have more yield, and they will go one day later, and that one day in some cases might be big waste in soft fruit, or they might go a little bit earlier and the fruit are already they are still green, they're not ready, or a big proportion of the fruit, so the workers will not be efficient there, or they will be harvesting green fruit that is equally damaging the quality of the product that the consumer will have, or even affect the efficiency of the packing house. So if the packing house has to deal with too many green or too many soft, that is also a big problem. So that's one of the things. So we are using F750 and other parameters. We have created algorithms that either, of course, we're measuring dry matter, we're measuring brix, And we have created robust algorithms that they can hold across seasons and across locations. And also we are using a complex index that is a little bit in the IP now, that we're using spectra and weather information in order to justify, in order to predict harvest time.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yes, for peaches will be a big solution. Yeah, this year we are going to be having real growers in a pilot, a large pilot in Colorado and Utah. And we are trying to see with them how good our prediction is, how this may be helping them, how to report the data, what information really they need. Do they need like when you should initially go and start picking? Because different growers have different practices. Other growers are focusing on bulk harvesting and big supermarket, like dealing like a commodity. Other growers are focusing more on quality. They want to make more careful harvest because they are interested a lot on high quality fruit and direct sales to consumers. So there is different things, but the capacity of spectroscopy and in that case F750 is that it's giving you that flexibility to work through the data through different approaches and really deliver some information that can be either customized for each particular user. It's a complicated process. It's not an easy process. We have invested around 6 to 7 years now working on this, like every season, very consistent on the data that we are collecting. And now we have broadened our capacity across 25 peach cultivars, and we are expanding also this season with these different locations.
That's awesome. So you bring up a couple of other good points too there about, the value of technology like this isn't necessarily just in the obvious direct, instead of doing destructive testing, you're saving labor by doing instantaneous measurements. But the fact that it's allowing for better labor planning when it comes to harvest, that seems like the bigger picture of time savings for the farmer and for, for ensuring the highest quality crop is getting out to the customer. And then as far as linking data, that's a really smart approach as everything starts to go through big data. Big data is, changing the world, and being able to pair as much data, all the spectral data, with other inputs, soil temperature, weather, and all sorts of other precipitation, moisture, soil moisture, and all these other different types of sensors you can have out in your fields. Being able to pair those together to put together a comprehensive and holistic idea of what's happening in your orchard, that's going to be a game changer for everyone, and ensure that we can have the highest quality crop every year, with reduced labor costs as well, and labor input. As far as sampling is concerned, did you run into anything about, I don't know what your practices were, but with using the F750, but you mentioned that a farmer might go out in the field and only grab 10 fruit or something like that. I know samples, representative sampling and sample sizes are something that's really important for this kind of data, so that you can get an accurate picture of everything that's happening over the entire orchard. What have you found as far as your sampling requirements?
Yeah, we have developed our own sampling protocol for the grower. They are required to scan a number of fruit. And then because we are monitoring the progress of ripening, we can predict time of harvest. Of course, we are seeing the variability in the population. Not everything will be harvested at the same time. This is impossible in peach. Really, what matters to the peach grower is when they should get into the field first, and then they have practice that they go every 2 or 3 days in the same block. They do passes, it's very critical to make this first decision. So to know what proportion of fruit will be ready for that day. So this is
Yep.
where we're focusing on.
Yep. That the critical first day of
Yes.
when the very first fruit are coming to full
Do
maturity.
not waste the fruit, do not delay your first picking, or to not go too early.
Right. That's yeah. Okay. Um,
Because you
so
are losing one day in one block, and at the same time you should be in another block.
yeah.
That is, and that's either the crew leader or the farm manager is on a hot spot during the season. Peach season is completely different from apples and the major fruit crops, because there is a plethora of varieties. There is so many varieties, and ripening time across varieties is critical to be determined, because things may be overlapping. You have to move fast. You don't have too much time from harvest to packing house and cold storage and shipping. So really what we're trying to do is we want to optimize the system with information, like at the different levels with information. And eventually we have been successful also with post-harvest problems sensing.
Oh, more disorder, internal just defects and disorders that are happening that are appearing post-harvest. That's great. That's another huge application for this kind of technology to be able to
Right
assess.
now we are piloting the pre-harvest part, which I think has broader applicability. And really, my goal is personally to get peach growers into information-based decision making, informed decision making for either their farming style, in order to achieve a minimum and above fruit quality. So can they be consistent in their internal quality, but also plan their harvesting and sales.
Gotcha. So, I mean, you've really done a really good job of thinking about not just the entire supply chain, all the way from the farm, to the retailer, but also as far as your use of this technology, planning out your model building and incorporating variables that are necessary to incorporate into a model to ensure robustness across all your different hundreds of varieties, all multiple different seasons. As you progress in seasons, things change, regions, growing regions, all those things present new variables, and the physiology of the fruit that do alter spectral responses from the instrument. So I would say that other people that are thinking about doing similar things in their with their crop, and what we've done with certain crops on our end as well, with kiwi fruit and other crops, is planning out this process and understanding that it's not a 30-day, you can build a model in 30 days and it'll work for the rest of your life kind of process, where it's more of a evolving process.
It's an ongoing complex process. That's one part of the reason even we had so much progress on the technological part for the spectroscopy in the horticultural industry, and your company is an example on that. You have built a really nice instrument to aid the industry. The fact that you have to calibrate and for how long this calibration will last, it's the key for industry adaptation, and also for future use, what you are really using as metrics, because you mentioned big data era or different things. It's very critical to acquire data that are meaningful.
Yep.
And every crop is different. Every industry has different perspectives, has different goals, different management. So really it's a need for horticulturists, physiologists, and engineers to work together. It's not either one side or the other side.
Yep, it is a big collaborative effort if we want to ensure
Yes.
the future of our food supply. I 100% agree with that. And getting people to agree on what the important metrics are and what the standards should be. That's always been a huge issue. I think that, hopefully we can get around that at some point in the future here and just agree that for certain things, dry matter is important. For other commodities, it's more about the brix or the internal hue or the firmness or whatever it is. But yeah, I totally agree with you. Well, I really appreciate you telling me about your project and all the work you've been doing, and I know that you're continuing to work with the device, and I am really excited to see as you push to get this, more piloted in the hands of farmers and see what their kind of reactions are to it and the kind of data you can get. I'm excited to see where this is heading, and you've got a really good project that you've been pursuing here, and I really hope to see more success from that. And just want to say thank you again for joining us today to talk about the technology. And obviously, if anyone wants to check out anything that Dr. Minas has been doing, you've got articles and stuff all about you all over the internet. Just Google his name, and you'll find more information about his projects and his program.
Yes, thanks for having me, and I can just commit that my interaction with you all in the company has been great. You guys are always willing to support any difficulty we may face. Thankfully, we are not facing many difficulties. That's a good thing. And yeah, it has been really nice to work from a horticultural perspective, trying to solve industry problems by using technology. And I'm also excited to see what the future has to bring us, and especially with the pilots that we have this year. And I'm excited because the growers seem to be excited. That's a good thing.
That's always good to see. Yeah, that's excellent. Well, yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get an update here after this year's harvest, and excited to see what comes of that. So, thanks again. And as I said, if anyone wants any more information about Dr. Minas and his projects, all you need to do is simply Google his name. Trust me, I've done it, and there's plenty of articles out there about him. So, all right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.